Hi, David. It's so wonderful to have you here with us today.
Thank you, Jonathan. It's great to be with you.
Now, tell me a little bit about what we're going to get to hear from you on this concert coming up on October 20th.
All right, I'm so excited to be a part of this concert and excited to get a chance to sing this cantata again. I'll be singing Bach cantata Ich will den Kreuzstab gerne tragen, and it is a bass solo cantata that Bach wrote when he was in Leipzig, and it is stunningly beautiful. There are two famous bass cantatas that Bach wrote, the other being Ich habe genug, and they're both really, really, really beautiful. And when Kristen asked me, what I might want to do, I said, "Hey, we've never done this other cantata of Bach's. I've done the Ich habe genug with them a couple of times," and she said, "Okay, yeah, let's absolutely do it." And it's been a few years since I've sung it, and I'm excited to get back into it and rehearse it and bring it to life once again.
That's awesome. Well, I can't wait to hear it myself and looking forward to the experience. Now, what is it like for you working with early music period instruments for something like this?
It's unique. It's different, of course, than working from as compared to working with modern instruments. The sound, the timbre of the instruments is different. It has the strings have a lighter, brighter quality. There's a little bit of a delay in the way that their bows work, and so the initial sound kind of there's a built-in swell into
Hmm.
the timbre of the strings, and of course, working with portative organs or harpsichords, it's quite different than
Sure.
working with a piano, uh,
Yeah.
which in some ways sounds clunkier in this kind of music to me.
Yep.
I'm happy to do. I've done it with piano, and it's great, but it's nice to get to do it in a way that might sound a little bit more like it would have sounded to Bach in his time.
Yeah, that's fantastic and makes a lot of sense with that. Now, do you sort of, we tend to think of these instruments being softer in sound compared to these modern instruments. Does that impact then how you have to show up vocally for something like that?
I honestly, I think it gives me more options.
Hmm.
Um, One of the things about singing is if you are having to sing loudly, then things like vibrato need to be a constant rather than a choice. And
Oh,
in earlier music, vibrato was really kind of considered to be more an ornament
sure.
and was something you could use but didn't necessarily have to use. And so it does open up some options for me musically when I don't have to sing fully as loudly as I can all the time, when it's more collaborative than it is me being on the defense and having to defend myself against a really large orchestra.
That's fantastic. Sure, sure. It makes a lot of sense. Now, you have found such a special place for your voice within the music of Bach and sort of this Baroque world. I also know that you can sing repertoire of all eras and times
Sure.
and do it all with just such grace and panache and talent. What has it been like for you to have this area of specialty, or what draws you to this specific music?
I can trace that my interest to this kind of music to my undergraduate degree when my teacher assigned to me. I'm pretty sure it was from Bach's Magnificat.
Hmm,
There's a bass solo in there, and
sure,
I was assigned, and I struggled, and I had to work really hard, harder than I'd had to work on music before,
sure.
and discovered that A, I could do that, and
Hmm,
B, I really enjoyed the challenge
hmm,
and the learning process of how to do melismatic singing is woo,
hmm,
it's a whole different challenge than anything
sure,
I had ever experienced before.
sure.
And I discovered I really liked it and I could do it. And so, then people hear that you can do it and they're like, hey, we're going to hire you to do this. And so that sort of thing just kind of snowballs sometimes, I think, in your career.
Sure. Well, we're
Because
so
not
fortunate
everybody
that,
not everybody can, and so it's like, yeah, I can do that. Let's do it. And I
well, we are
discovered
so,
I really enjoyed working with the early music crowd as well
hmm,
because they're a little bit of a different breed
Mm,
of musician
sure.
than your ordinary run of the mill modern orchestral players. They're I can I say this? They seem more down to earth to
Yeah,
me,
sure. Sure.
and I just really enjoy them. They're also tend to be a little bit quirky
Yeah,
as
sure.
I am as well. So I appreciate that.
I love it. I love it. Well, we're so fortunate that you decided to rise to that challenge. So often it can be, that sounds hard. I don't want to do that.
Yeah,
But that you
absolutely.
enjoyed that. I mean, what a gift that then that has allowed. And yeah, I think there's a lot there about there's a different energy associated with this music that, and on some level, it's like I think of the music of Bach of being something that we hold with such reverence and such like this white glove approach that can make it
Sure.
feel really maybe even unapproachable with
Yeah.
it. And so
Yeah.
it's actually really even refreshing to hear from you of like, no, the people and everybody who's interested in this is like, yeah, I mean, we're quirky and would
Absolutely.
definitely
Yeah.
transport back to the 1700s for fun, on a Tuesday, just because why not? But to be able to see that there's relaxation in life to something which we can think of as so rigid and buttoned up with that.
Absolutely. Bach is kind of it's dense music. It's full
Yep.
of uh amazing and difficult to listen and to play harmonies and passages that are just really tricky. And I've heard instrumentalists and I've heard singers all complain about Bach and
Sure.
performances about, man, he just didn't care if you
Right.
could do it or not. You just have to figure out how to do it.
Right.
And yes, I think that's absolutely true. And to me, it's a little bit like I don't know. I don't know a lot about fine wine,
Mm,
but when I listen to sommeliers speak about wine and talk about the nuances and I think, yeah, Bach is like that. You
yeah.
can just enjoy it because it's wine,
Sure.
but you can also go in such deeper levels of
Mm.
understanding and appreciation of his music, like you can in getting into fine wines. Fortunately, I don't care about that, and I
Sure.
can go buy the $2 Chuck and be just fine with that.
Yeah. So in that idea of fine wine, and if we think
Yeah.
about that analogy and those who maybe don't have that refined palate, what would be a
Mm.
couple of things of insight that you could offer about the piece that they'll get to hear from you then?
Okay, so for example, in the opening movement, we hear this sighing motif.
Mm.
Da, 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 dum, dee, 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 dee. It comes here. Da, dun, da, dun, da, dun, dum, da, dee, 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 dee. As he speaks of carrying this cross and the
Wow.
sighing involved with suffering
Yeah.
and there's much talk of the pains of living in this world and bearing one's cross
Sure.
and Bach shows that in the music by giving that motive, which I will tell you as a singer is a challenging motive to sing.
Hmm.
And I encourage people to listen to me struggle through it.
Oh.
And as I find my way, as I'm rehearsing this, I'm thinking, yeah, oh yeah, this is hard. Yeah, this is a challenging piece. I first sang this in 19 in the year of our Lord
Sure. Sure.
1991, and seems so long ago, and it was so long ago. And as a much younger person, and it's really challenging
Hmm.
to sing technically. I, and I also think that if you're going to listen to something like Bach, um, it might be a good idea to acquaint yourself with the music ahead of time. There are
Hmm.
lots of amazing recordings that you can find. We live in an amazing age where you can just
Sure.
find all sorts of music totally for free if you don't mind listening to ads
Right.
and listening to it, because I find the more I listen to this kind of music, the more details I notice and the more
Hmm.
things I discover in the music, and that
Hmm.
my appreciation grows over time. That you
Hmm.
don't lose that impact the first time you hear it. You actually gain more every time you listen to something that is
Hmm.
detailed and finely crafted like Bach's music is.
Yeah, which is, to continue the wine analogy is sort of
Yeah.
like, as you continue to drink and you just, as much as how our knowledge of something like that grows is just through experience and exposure
Yes.
to it. And
Absolutely.
so that's actually really fascinating to see how that grows too with
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. It's these great things can they can handle the repetition. They can handle the multiple hearings.
Mm.
And we just learn more and discover more and appreciate more them as we get to know them better. Yeah.
Wow. We're so looking forward to it. Thank you for your time today to tell us a little bit about
Absolutely.
what we can expect. And all of you listening, we'll look forward to seeing you on October 20th. Thanks so much, David.
Absolutely. Thank you.